Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Diane here. Today we're going to do a relaxing little journey. We're going to take a line for a walk. Now, who was it who said that? That was Paul Klee, the famous expressionist German. He said, take a line for a walk. I'm going to take a line for a walk. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use, just run through the materials first. My Kuretake set, 48 set of watercolours, Gansai Tambi watercolours, which have the wonderful advantage of drying the colour they are when they go on wet. And if you're a beginner in watercolour, you probably won't appreciate just how important that is, or how helpful. Because most watercolours, Winsor & Newton and so on, and the cheaper your watercolours are, the more likely they are to dry lighter than they appear when they're wet. And that can be very frustrating, actually, because you think you've created a nice bright image, or you want to put on a particular tone of darkness or lightness, and it turns out much lighter than you want it, so you have to go over it again, and then it starts to get muddy. So that's one of the reasons I think why these paints are such a boon, to be honest, because you find yourself doing less of that, less corrections, fewer corrections, and the colours you choose are the colours you get. So that's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? And okay, so along with those paints, I'm obviously going to use a brush, and this is a size 7 round. This is a Drawwell, any make would do. Princeton are quite good, I've recently discovered. But if you like the Japanese ones that I use, they're much cheaper than the regular ones, because there's no middleman if you get them direct from Japan. So there's a link in the description below. If you contact Mr. Miami in Japan, he is very helpful. And if you want to, if you're new and you want to buy a dozen brushes or something to get started, it's really worth having them shipped from Japan. I'm also going to be using for this a white gel pen. This is a Signo Uniball white pen, a broad nib. It's not very broad, but that's what they call it. This is the same thing in gold. You can get a set of these gold, silver, and white on Amazon. I don't know, about $9 or something for those. They don't last forever, but they're fun to use. And then I've got two other pens. This is also Kuretake Tombow. This is a brush pen. It's in a blue case, but it's actually black, and that's nice to do doodles with because it gives you a thick and a thin line. And this is a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, which is just plain black. I don't know if I'm going to use that. I probably will, actually. Probably will. So don't really need a palette for this. I don't really need anything to mix up in, but just in case I do, I'll just put handy a couple of my little dishes in case I want to actually mix up some paint. And so what I am going to do today is, first of all, this is black. So black is black. Wasn't there a song? Black is black, I want my baby back. Who sang that? What with that and Wooden Heart, I'm going to have everybody going, oh my God, I've got that stuck in my head now. Black is black. Was that the Rolling Stones? I think it was. Anyway, so I'm going to put some black on my brush, and it doesn't matter how much you pick up because you can go back for more. And with this round brush, I'm going to draw a rectangle, freehand. Now this is great if you're an absolute beginner and you aren't very confident with your brush control, you can practice getting a line. Doesn't matter if it's not completely straight, really, it doesn't. But you can try as hard as you can to make it the same width all along. And that will practice you your control of the brush, so you feel more confident when you're trying to draw things like leaves and things. So there we are, a rough rectangle, and reload the brush a little bit, and then being careful not to smudge it. Pick a point on the outside edge, somewhere about a quarter of the way along one of the lines. You could start here or here, but well, you can start in the middle if you want. Start wherever you like. But I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take a line for a walk, and I'm going to make it thin and thick and thin and thick. Replenish. It doesn't matter what your shapes are. Don't make them too small, perhaps. But also don't let them be too big. I think it's quite nice if you have some small ones at the edges. Don't think about it too much, just do it. But make it a continuous line. Okay, so although you have to go to get more paint, come back and start again from where you left off. So there we are. There is our design. And what you have to do now, because you don't want it to run, is you're going to have to dry it. So we'll get the hairdryer and whack that on. So that's dry now. And the next thing to do, this is the fun bit, or at least this is fun bit number one. The next thing to do is to clean, make sure the brush is nice and clean, make sure the paint is dry. And looking at your Kuretake set, what I did when I did this, my trial one, I started off by picking the colour that I like best, I think, and that was this red. I quite like this red. It's a what do they call it? They call it Rose Madder Deep. That's a classic colour, isn't it? You can get that in any paint set, Rose Madder. Well, not necessarily in the sets, but you can definitely... Oops. Oh, I said I was going to do that. I knew I was going to do that. Never mind, all is not lost. Honestly, I'm such a klutz. Really, such a clumsy clot. But the other good thing about these paints is that they don't tend to be too difficult to lift. So if you do make a mistake, if you do that, I thought it was dry. You see, you can't win, can you? You can't win. Oh well. When I first started doing these videos, before I'd watched very many of other people's, I thought everything had to be perfect. In the sense, not in the sense that my painting needed to be perfect, because I knew I could never do that. But that the presentation needed to be perfect and that mistakes weren't allowed, because a lot of people edit out all their mistakes. But I soon found out that that's too much trouble. I don't want to do that. So I don't do that. So anyway, I'm going to try to paint over here with this nice Rose Madder Deep. And the point of this exercise, this is an exercise, but it's fun and it's enjoyable. It's not boring. It's not just drawing lines. It's to practice brush control, pigment control, water control, and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use probably 5 colours on here, and I'm going to space them out. So I'll start with the red, and I'll put in, I don't know how many sections there are, but I'll put in the number that I feel is enough of this colour. And I'm going to do this colour first, and then I'll pick up a second colour. And it doesn't matter if you go over the black lines a little bit, but try not to go over them too much because it'll spoil the brightness of the whole thing. And this is, you think, oh, there's a water spot there. Whoa, that's going to lead to problems, isn't it? I can make that black again later. Thinking sort of, what do you call it? Stained glass window type of effect, or stained glass. And I'm putting the paint on fairly thickly, but I can promise you that it will dry pretty close to the colour that it goes on. And you have no idea. If you haven't been painting for long, you're so lucky to come into it at this stage when the materials are so much better than they used to be. Because when I first started doing watercolour, the colours that we had, we didn't have any of the quinacridone colours. Now you've got these synthetic colours, quinacridone gold, quinacridone purple, quinacridone reds and things. And they are very beautiful, clean, single pigment colours that are really nice to use. And we didn't have any of that. We just had cadmium yellow and lemon yellow. And like I say, you put them on the paper and they dried lighter and you were disappointed. And oh dear. But no, so now we are much more fortunate to have these wonderful colours. So now I'm thinking, what shall I do for the second colour? And I think I'm going to do a nice green, a nice strong green. And I'm going to put it here. This is a lovely green. This one is called, what did I just pick up? This one, this is Forest Gump Green, Forest Green, Forest Gump Green. Forest, forest, run, forest, run. Watched that film recently, that's why it's on my mind. I watched it because this colour is called forest green, and when I saw it I thought Forrest Gump, and then I thought, oh, I haven't watched that film for ages. I love Tom Hanks, the actor, don't you? Isn't he just, if I had to vote for somebody as being the best actor stroke person, and not bad looking either, I mean, he's not exactly what you'd call Rocky Stallone. Is that a person? But he's not even James Rockford, but he's nice, isn't he? Isn't he the sort of person, well, he certainly is the sort of person I would have liked to have married. Anyway, he's lovely and he's a great actor and he's done some wonderful films. I remember when Philadelphia came out, it came out around about the time I was having treatment for breast cancer, and I wanted to watch that film because I loved the music in the theme tune, the music, whatever. But oh my God, I couldn't. I haven't ever. I've never watched it. I can't watch it now. I couldn't watch it then. It's just too sad. But I do believe it's a good film. On the other hand, Airport, was it called? Where he plays a man who arrives in an airport and they don't like his passport. He's come from a country that America has just cut off relations with, so they won't let him in and they won't let him out. It's such a good film. I think I've watched that one about 3 times. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reds and 4 greens. And so I'm going to put another green here, I think. This would be a very nice exercise to do if you have a little group. I'm thinking of Lucinda here, one of our ladies who runs a little art group from her house, I think. And this would be a wonderful exercise if you wanted something for everyone to do together that they could do while they were chatting around the table. I think this one would be very, very good for that. I'm going to go to purple now because I want all nice, rich, gem-like colours. I'm just checking that my camera's working and I've got everything in shot. Yeah, sorry, that should be a little bit further along there. If you notice a variation in the sound on the video, please forgive us. It's just that we're using an iPhone 13. I think it was when we bought it. It was the latest one, as it would be, wouldn't it? And most of the time, the sound is really good. But occasionally, especially when the light's poor, I think the processing power of the phone isn't quite enough to correct the colour and the sound. And it seems like it lets the sound go. So sometimes you'll notice a variation. The sound goes a bit echoey or it goes a bit quiet. We do try to correct it. Tamsin spends a lot of time trying to make it right. And most of the time she does. Occasionally it's too difficult and it's not her fault at all. And then the other thing is that I tend to move around a little bit too much, and I shouldn't. And we could use a lapel mic, and we've got one, but it's not actually as good. And then there's the ones that they use for podcasts, which we probably will buy one at some point, but they're quite expensive. And the thing is, you can't move around hardly at all without losing the sound. So, sorry, you have to be really careful what kind of microphone you use. So shall I put that there? Anyway, just apologies if there's any distortion or any quiet sections that we haven't managed to sort out. And yeah, this would be a lovely one to do if you run a group and you could all sit down together and you could all do your own thing. And then at the end, when you're finished, you'd compare them, make a nice display. Because what we're going to do all of these sections and then we're going to practice our doodling. It's Sunday morning here. What day is it today? No, it's not Sunday, it's Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. When you live where I live, you lose track of what day of the week it is. It's quite strange. I wonder whether I should put another one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I've got 6 of those already, so we won't do that. And now I'm going to go for the orange. This orange is not my favourite colour normally, but I've used a lot of this cadmium orange, partly because it makes such good mixtures with other colours, I think, and I'm going to have to be careful there because I don't want that to run. And when you're doing a design like this, you want a contrast. You need, your jewel colours, and this is still another jewel colour, isn't it, really? And be careful. This is a good point at which you make sure that you try not to go over the line. I might leave that like that because I don't want it to run. But you want some bright ones as well as some darker ones. So this orange is a good one for that. And it's partially opaque. It's not completely opaque. If you use plenty of water, all of these colours go transparent and make nice washes. And they do blend well together. They mix and bleed and give you just exactly the same effects that you get with the traditional watercolours. One thing I'm thinking as I'm doing this, that if you wanted to be sure that your black wouldn't run, because it will occasionally melt a little bit if you touch it with something wet, you could use Indian ink for the lines. You could use a brush and dip it in India ink. And I'm thinking this one's too big. I'm going to make a correction here because I think I want to divide this one, so I'll just come down here. I probably shouldn't have done that straight down, but I did. So anyway, so we need another orange for contrast. And when I do the doodles, I like to do gold on top of orange because it gives a sort of brocade, embroidered kind of look, gold on orange, which is quite nice. And I think I'm going to have to put the hairdryer on again. Sorry, Tamsin. Okay, is that dry? Probably dry enough. So one more orange one, we'll put it here. You see, that's what I mean by the smudging. So it would be a good idea to use Indian ink for the black lines because that won't melt like that. And then the last colour that we're going to use, we're going to make a kind of bluish grey sort of colour. And this one here is indigo, it says. So we'll use that, and I'm going to do it reasonably light, this particular one. You could, of course, make an alteration and you could allow the colours to blend into one another. And I might do another one of these, allowing it to blend so that we could practice our bleeds and wet in wet and stuff like that. So we're nearly there, and then the next thing to do, once we've filled in the last one, which we're just about to do, we're going to put the hairdryer on and give it a jolly good dry, because the reason being, the pens don't work on wet paper, on wet paint very well, and you'll find you'll spoil them. So if you're going to do doodling on top of this, which we are, just going over that, and I think I'll just go over this one too a little bit. You can correct any of your lines. I'm going to try and do that without it bleeding. Yeah. So I'm going to dry that now, and then we'll come back. And I mean, that's quite interesting and quite nice to look at as it is, isn't it? But in order to waste a bit more of our time, I'm going to doodle on it. So I'm going to turn you off for a sec and come back and doodle. Okay, so part 2 of this doodle adventure here, taking a line for a walk. A couple of things I want to say before I start carrying on. I find it quite handy to have a little notebook like this. We actually have a product that we sell, which is Studio Notebook, which I can never lay my hands on when I want it. And we sell these on our website or on Spring. If you go to our Spring shop, if you need any information about that, look in the description below the video and it tells you. And this is the way they come. Got a choice of different covers and studio notes. And I find these really, really useful. I really do use it. This is my 2023 one, which is a big improvement on my 2022 one, in which I have various different things. Going to England. Oh, it's good to look back sometimes. It reminds you of what you were doing a year ago or whenever. I used to keep a diary, and I've got diaries going back to 1968, I think was the first one I kept. I gave it up a few years ago. I found it was getting a bit repetitive. So I have ideas in here which I write down when they come to me. I try to remember to do this. Last year, April, I was doing Neurographic art, and this is a little bit similar to that in a way, but this is my personal take on it. Planning ideas, 10 mistakes I try not to make. These are ideas for videos that I haven't made. 10 mistakes I try not to make. That would be a good one, wouldn't it? Makeover of a failed painting. Well, we've cut a lot up. working from some of my old books for inspiration, looking in them, making backgrounds, flowers from the Dean's Garden. There's some wonderful photos of flowers from the garden of the Canterbury Cathedral, which are all on the Garden Congregation YouTube channel, which is something which I do like to listen to, actually. He's got a lovely voice and he reads very well. So he reads books and things, and some of those are very interesting to listen to. Paint on something, music? Paint on something, I don't know what that was. Anyway, just flipping through. I know people like to see sketchbooks and things. These are notebooks. This is a notebook of ideas. And been thinking about doing people, and I haven't got around to it yet, but that keeps cropping up. This is one of the doodle birds, and this is practice doodles, and that's why I wanted to mention it, because it's handy to have a doodle sheet nearby when you start the next stage of this one to give you ideas, because I don't know about you, but my mind goes a blank when I'm faced with doodling. It's like that. So I don't think there's anything else in there of any interest. So we'll put that to one side. But yeah, you might consider, I think these are about €8, £8, $8 or whatever. You might consider getting one of these. We've got a couple of different designs. Tamsin's got one here. There's this one as well. These are designs of mine paintings that we did, or I've done. I don't know whether that was a video or not. It could be. It doesn't look like she's using hers as much as she should be. Naughty girl. Anyway, I used mine and notes of things to do, voiceovers, just in case you think there's nothing behind all of this. This is just January. Things about the year of the rabbit, sketches, bits and pieces. Art and Spirituality by Hans Wilhelm. And then, I'm trying to get hold of the Art Nouveau set of Kuretake colours, but they can't ship it to me in France from America. And it's available over there, but I can't buy it. And it's not available in Europe. I don't know why. And stop putting question marks at the end of your sentence, Diane. It's not a good habit to get into. People think you come from California. Not there's anything wrong with California. I have good friends in California. I love them. But anyway, I don't need a question mark at the end of my sentence. It makes it sound so strange. Road test the Princeton brushes. What am I looking for? I'm telling you, you need one of these. So buy one. Okay, back to this. In order to do the next stage, which is going to be doodles, I'm going to need these pens, which I mentioned before. And that's why I got this out. I knew there was a reason. Hang on. A page. Right, this one is Kuretake brush pen. And it's great because it's meant for calligraphy and other things. And as you press, it goes thicker, and you can do thick and thin. And thick and thin. And I'm absolutely hopeless at calligraphy, but I can do thick and thin. It looks like a feather or a leaf. I can do thick and thin lines. So that's nice. I'm going to use that. This is a white one, and it's supposed to work. It's just plain white, and the kind of line that it gives is like that. I'm also going to use a gold one, which I think works much better than the white. I don't know why they can't make I like that. I don't know why they can't make the white work as well as the gold, but you know. So there's that, and then a plain black Pitt pen. I know I mentioned this before, but I just wanted to show you the lines that it makes. This is a bit darker than the Stettler or the, I never remember what they're called, these ones, Pigment Micron. This I actually think is a little bit more substantial. I quite like that. This is a crib sheet, if you like. This is a bunch of doodles that I did to give me ideas, as is also this. So when I'm doing one of these, I always have these nearby for those moments when you think, I just don't know what a doodle is. So I suggest that's a good idea to do that. And with this one that we're going to do now, I thought to myself, I would confine myself to doing a particular doodle on a particular colour. So I thought I would start off with the brush pen. Just need a quick slurp of coffee. There are days when I drink too much coffee, and today's one of them. And I'm going to, hope you can see this okay. I'm going to do spirals thick and thin on here. So I'm just doing a spiral and I'm pressing harder as I come around one side. And then I'm going to vary them and have smaller one here and maybe a small, really small one there. These are very fun to do. I could do pages and pages of these. If you haven't got one of these pens, one of these brush pens, you're missing something. Because they make sort of like roses as well. You could use them to make roses. Yeah, I really like this. It's a very therapeutic thing to do. And tell you what else is therapeutic as well. You know, I've been mentioning recently about trying to find something nice to listen to any time of day, really. I mean, I think I said at bedtime, but it doesn't have to be bedtime. And, you know, basically I go to bed with Michael Seeley every night, and I have done for 8 years. I don't know if he knows it. But anyway, I do. And he puts me to sleep in no time, and I'm sure he would love to think that he did that. But during the day, it's nice to listen to things, and I'm so tired of the mania that seems to be going around the world at the moment. And I don't want to listen. And so recently, at lunchtime, we generally watch a bit of telly with our lunch. But it's not telly, it's videos on YouTube. And we've been watching, just recently, Frost, A Touch of Frost, which everybody in England knows, and maybe even in America, because I think they did sell it to America. And I won't say anything about the quality of it. But we were enjoying that. The first few seasons were really good. But just recently, it's gone completely mad because it carried on till the early 2000s. And the difference in the way the acting is done over that period of time is just unbelievable. So we've stopped. I've stopped 2 seasons short of a full house. And I'm not going to watch it anymore because it's no longer pleasant. Okay, so I really enjoyed that. And now I'm going to take, well, the one I did earlier, this one, this is the one I did earlier. And I went over the black lines with white, but I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I'm not going to do that. I might do it at the end, but next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the black pen that's not got a brush pen thingy, on it, and I'm going to do the next colour, and it's a bit of a what's the word? It's a bit of a commitment, because whatever I do on the first one, I'm going to do on the rest. So anyway, what I am going to do is I'm going to do a branch of leaves. I don't know whether this is strictly speaking a doodle, but that's what I feel like doing right now, this minute. So we bring this one up here perhaps. And we have a couple of loose ones over here. I don't know about the vein line. I might go over that. I think I'm going to go over these leaves with gold, I think. Let's see what that looks like. If you have a shaky hand, you might not want to do this, but I guarantee that your doodles look really cool because they'll be nice and funky and shaky and lovely. Well, we have a new neighbour in the house opposite where Bella, the dog that we were trying to take care of, used to live. They moved out a little while ago. I think I mentioned that. I like that. I like that on the pale blue. So that's good because then I can go ahead and be quite confident about doing this one. They moved out. Sorry for the sniff. I don't know why I do that. It's not necessary. It's just an automatic reaction. I don't know why. So I noticed that on some of the videos the other day. I was watching this painful experience watching my own videos, but I did notice that I sniff occasionally. So do a lot of other people too, as a matter of fact. And it's not a good thing, and I'm going to try and stop it. I expect they teach you that in radio school, not 101, when you learn to be a disc jockey. I expect they say to you, no, do not breathe so loud. Breathe quietly, try to control yourself, and for God's sake, don't sniff, because it comes across really loud through the microphone. And it does, it's true. Just the slightest little inhalation of breath, and you do have to breathe. I mean, come on. But don't sniff. Whatever you do, don't sniff. So I won't sniff. Let's put some, I'll try not to anyway. I'll try not to be annoying. We have got a video which has got 3 little birds on it, and it's really nice. The painting is quite nice, and it's fun to do, and you might enjoy it. It's had 250,000 views now, which is I can't think of a word strong enough to describe my utter amazement at that. I would never have ever expected anything remotely like that to happen. However, it has, and I looked at it yesterday. It's still getting views. It's getting more views each day than new videos that we put up. So it's being shown a lot by YouTube, which is great. Thank you, YouTube. However, I watched it, and you should have a look at it because it's one of our earliest ones, and there's a shadow across the picture, which is really bad. I mean, there will be shadows. There always are. There will be. You will see them. This one might have one because we use natural light rather than using. Get rid of the question marks. We use natural light. We don't use artificial light, and so therefore sometimes there's a bit of a problem with the sun. It's not very obliging. Sometimes it misbehaves, and but anyway, this particular one, the 3 birds, which you probably have seen by now, actually. Is very shadowy. So I apologise for that. I didn't mean it to be like that. I'm going to put some dots around these leaves. This is only a suggestion that you do the same design in each colour. So each colour has its own design. So like the red has got these wonderful rose-shaped spirals, and this blue has got these leaves with dots and gold-scented leaves. But you could do a different thing in every single one if you wanted to. You could also use paint. If you use a thin, small brush, a size 3 or something like that, you could use paint to do the designs as well. So now, what am I going to do next? I'll tell you what, I'm going to do what I did on my practice one. On the gold, we're going to do floral shapes. So I'm just doing daisies like this, and along the outside edge we do part daisies like that, and just filling up the whole space with gold like that. And it's if there's spaces in between, you can put circles in. And I think this looks like brocade or something embroidered fabric. I really like the gold on the orange. Put another one in there. So all different sizes. You can do different sizes of very simple daisy flowers. All over your orange. It would look good on yellow too, I think. Okay, and oh yes, I was going to say about the new neighbours. We haven't met him yet, but it seems like it's just one chap who rides a scooter to work in the morning. He goes out at 6 o'clock. And we know that already because my husband was woken up by his scooter at 6 o'clock this morning. So that's okay. If he's just a single man on his own, he'll never be there, and he won't have a dog that we have to look after, which would be good. On the other hand, Tamsin is still feeding the neighbour's cats, because you remember a little while ago I told you that our neighbour, unfortunately, Remy, had died all of a sudden. Really a shock. I'm still amazed to think that happened, because I'd spoken to him just a day or two before, and he'd told me what terrible pain he was in with this terrible cervical problem he had. And he said to me, I'm taking opium pills now, and I'm worried about what that's going to do to me in the neck. And he said, but I have such terrible pain, I wake up in the night and I think I'm going to die. The pain's so bad. Oh my goodness. And he did. And I'm just, oh dear, he was such a nice man. Terrible. Really a shock. Anyway, he had 2 cats, and one of them is 14 or 18 or a good age and not particularly well, and the other one is younger. And his wife goes off to work on Mondays and doesn't come back till Saturday. So Tamsin is feeding the cats while she's not there. It's a bit of a... dear me, I don't know. Okay, so on now to the green, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put circles on here. Just bubbles like this, different sizes. And when you're doing this, you're gaining control over your medium, as well as realizing things about texture, how you create texture by putting pattern on a surface, and how that changes the overall effect of the colour, which is altered by the presence of line. Not only does it make it darker, but also gives it more depth. And if you come into this, once you've done the black circles of all different sizes, you can see it starts to look like, like bubble wrap or something like that, which actually does have a texture. And you're just trying to vary them and not do the same one twice. And this is very good practice for when you do a bigger painting, a landscape or something like that, and you want to make sure that you don't commit the error of inadvertent repetition, where you do the same thing more than once. So like you line up your trees equally spaced and all their branches are parallel to each other. That's a common mistake with landscapes for people who are, you can do it on purpose if you want, but it's not, generally speaking, considered to be a good idea to have all your branches on your trees going parallel, unless you're drawing a cartoon, of course. And it does take some effort to remember. See, I've done it there. That's what I'm talking about. When you do two exactly the same, and that will stick out like a sore thumb. It will. That's what happens when you talk about something and you're happily going along and you suddenly make that terrible mistake. See, a little bit too linear there, but it doesn't matter because this is only a doodle. It's very easy to do though. It does require a certain amount of concentration. Very easy to make that mistake. Last one with this design on it. By now you should be getting the hang of doing large, small and medium circles in a more or less random way. So let's hope that that works. And you could come into those circles and you could, for example, fill in the little ones with gold. Just a little dot. And that's really fun. And you see how it lifts it? And the reason I chose these colours, these jewel tones, was because I knew that when I came to do the doodles, that the gold and the black and the white and everything would look better on the dark colours because it just kind of shows up better. And now I have to think what I'm going to do on the purple, because the purple's the last one, isn't it? So there we are, that's those. Now what am I going to do? What did I do before? I did black dots. And I haven't used any white, so I suppose that's what I should do. We've got spirals, we've got circles. Oops, distract myself, go back to the dots. I missed one. What shall I do with the white? What shall I do? Maybe perhaps I'll just do some spirals, but just little ones. Totally different from the black roses. Stick down. If you have a go at this, I'd love to see them on Facebook. So if you can, share them on Facebook and maybe use the hashtag stained glass doodles or something like that. Hashtag stained glass doodles. And then I'll be able to find your painting. We should do that actually more often. So when you have a go, I'll know where to look for your version, because I do like to see everybody's paintings. Sometimes they inspire me to make a certain type of video or makes my art improve. So there we are. Those are the white mini spirals, and you could add gold dots to the middle, for example. You can just keep on embellishing, keep on going. You can just, do more and more and more. But I'll just do that. I'll just do gold centers. That makes me think of chocolates. You remember those hazelnut whirls that Cadbury's used to do. Used to love those when I was a kid. Remember hazelnut whirls? Trouble is, nowadays, Cadbury's chocolate tastes like wax. It's not the same as it used to be. We've got a lovely chocolate shop in Carray here, nearest town to us, and I bought my husband a box of chocolates from there for his birthday in January. And they cost about $40 for a couple of dozen chocolates, but they are much better than the ones that you get in the supermarket. So there we are. I'm sort of thinking that these need circles in them, but not everywhere. It's just some of them. Some of them need a circle. Just a few, maybe the darkest ones where the paint's gone a little bit darker. But you see how bright the colours are, how well it's dried. I don't have any particular axe to grind as far as Kuretake goes, and I'm sure they don't care whether or not I sell their or promote their paints. But I do think that if you're a beginner, I mean, they've been around for ages. They're just new to me. They're not new to everybody. A lot of people have had them for years. But they are much easier to learn to paint with because they're much, much more forgiving. They really are. And then the final thing that you might want to do, perhaps, is to embellish the lines. And on the first one I did them in white. But I didn't like that. So I am going to just put some dots around some of them to show you what I mean. And that kind of brings out the shape of each section a little bit. But I don't think I'm going to do it on all of them. I'm quite pleased with that, and I think you'll have fun doing that. It's really a lovely way to warm up, to have fun, to create something out of nothing. I mean, it was so easy, no pressure, absolutely. And so if you did enjoy that, give us a like and subscribe and turn on notifications so that you hear whenever a new video comes up. Go and visit my website, dianeantone.com, where you will find products. Buy yourself a notebook, a studio notebook, if you fancy one. It's got my signature on the front of it. And there's lots of other things there, plus, of course, our free, absolutely free, no charge downloads of my sketches. There won't be one for this one, but there are lots of sketches for things like birds and flowers and so on and so forth to give you a helping hand, speed up the process of painting, get you past the drawing phase more quickly. You might want to consider getting a light box if you can't draw, because a light box will help you. And we've got a video on how to use a light box somewhere, but that will help you to draw more quickly, transfer it onto your paper, the sketch. You just need to print it out, then use the light box to trace it. All very easy. I'm going to stop there because that's enough, and I'm going to let you go, and I'll see you again tomorrow. So let's just take a look at that a bit more closely. And yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Bye everybody. Bye bye.